So let's start off by saying the simple: man does not need anything to regenerate himself other than the natural diet and fasting. So that which does not cause any inflammation, that which is raw in its whole state, will return man to his raw and his whole state. And this is also true for the soil and the food. So I see that there's a parallel between um, farming practices, or how we derive our food and how we get our food, or shall we say the distance between our actions and our food, and the distance between our genetics, how they should be versus how they are. So, to clarify, there is a income inequality, there is a wealth gap, there is a gap between the optimization, the level of vigor, and how should we say it? There's a discrepancy today because of how man treats his environment in which the food comes, and how man treats how he's going to receive this food, and the manner in which he is receiving his own food uh, ultimately is affecting the manner in which the information is being created within his own body. So my mother said that, you know, she was basically kind of saying that we shouldn't worry too much because our cells regenerate within 7 days. So many of our cells are dying and replaced. That's all fine and dandy. The point is here, though, is that our cells are not replicating correctly when we are not eating correctly, when we are not living correctly. So when we do not get enough fresh air, when we don't open our windows and we stay in a stale home with stale air, when we don't ground, when we don't get the right kind of water, and if we're not drinking that much water, if we don't get the right kind of food to supplement that, to hydrate ourselves and hydrate ourselves with good stuff, and we're constantly stuffing ourselves with toxemia, then obviously the blood is poisoned, the lymphatic system is overrun, the nerves start to not function correctly, so the overall nerve energy decreases in the body. But ultimately, that comes back to a problem in the genes, in the code, in the source code. So as we continue on and continue and go deeper into these degenerative practices, the gene is being destroyed. The source code of the gene is being destroyed. So the question is, how do we return this source code to the highest state? How do we reinstate how our genes, how our genetics were meant to be? So obviously, again, that would come with the right kinds of food. But if you look at our food, more and more, we are using artificial means uh, to produce our foods, and more we're using uh, unnatural methods. We are further. I think there's a varying degree of cross pollination and how we selectively breed. The pros and cons of that. Possibly we should be doing both. We should selectively breed, but also let nature pick her own. But anyhow, there's that, and then there's the pesticiding to kill all the insects. But I mean, think about any. It's just like antibiotics within the body. This is why I want to draw a parallel and show you how it's the same in whether it's the human body or the environment. The environment is the human body because we are taking food that comes from the environment. So we become the environment. We are made up, we are comprised of the state of the food which enters into the body, or the food that does not enter into the body, right? So that means that, again, if a pesticide or an antibiotic into our system is introduced, it's meant to kill one thing that's so called bad. So let's say, for an example, I don't know, a caterpillar or some kind of a bug that's an aphid or something that's eating up something that we don't want to be eaten up, instead of, as opposed to creating a more diverse environment where there could be a predator or another substitute where this caterpillar or aphid or whatever could thrive on something else, it could be distracted, or we could create some kind of an environment where a predator, a natural predator, can take care of it. And also we could plant these things, plant the weak to aphid or caterpillar plants in places where it wouldn't be so weak. So there's a variety of natural ways at tackling a pest problem or insecticide, so like an insect problem. But instead, we go at it one dimensionally. We force nature into producing a result that we want, and we suffer exponential consequences. There's a spillover effect when it comes to the quality of the food, obviously. The environment starts to become damaged, so the genetic structure of the environment, you could say, or the informational rhythm of the environment is completely offset. So now, for instance, perhaps this insecticide or pesticide kills off all the predators of this pest, and so next year you have to do more pesticide, or else it's going to be harder for these plants to thrive. Because why? Because you've killed all the predators off. You've caused a mass extinction event through a side effect. So the same is true for the V word, which we put into our arms with an injection fashion. The same is true for medicines, antibiotics, everything. Your body and nature has the ability to heal itself, yet we continually, arrogantly come over it and say, we know what's better, we're going to force it into submission. But there are times where you need to push nature in a certain direction. I admit that. But the way in which we are carrying forward is very short sighted and very violent. So, as we disrupt this environmental aspect, and as the plants are, getting harder and harder to thrive, so we are taking more and more of the vigor away from the environment. Suddenly, the same carries over to the person, as we see in the Anastasia books too. The apple, where you take it from your own kins domain, your own family domain, your own space of love, a place where you're communing with, where biological feedback loops are being created, where, different kinds of chemistry is being created because you're adding chemistry and taking chemistry from your immediate environment and your immediate surroundings. So the level of energy and electricity and the gene, how do you say, the regenerative capacity of the gene shoots through the roof. And then, of course, you can add a whole nother topic of discussion where it comes to the pollens in the air and the quality of the air, and how back then there were no pollutants. So you could practically feed yourself and heal yourself through just the air, and then enter breatharianism. But anyhow, so this feedback loop that creates in your environment, if you take that apple, if you take that coconut, if you take that whatever it is, that durian, from that environment, that natural and thriving and diverse environment, that durian, as opposed to a durian farm that's just only durian, nothing else, and everything's being, there's, insecticide, pesticide, weed killer, whatever it is, there's immense amounts of fertilizer, and then that durian is carried to, or a truck driver comes in with all this combustion, carbon monoxide energy, and then takes that, and then he sells that, and then, through all this time you have to pick it unripe and decrease the level of vitality of the fruit. So you have to almost give it stress, and then there's more stress as it's traveling to an unknown far place where man is disconnected from the environment. And then some guy buys from the truck, and that guy sells at the place. And then every day, every second, every minute, because the ideal time of eating your foods is right off the tree, right away as they are ripe. That's the highest level of medicine, or screw that toxic word medicine, but that's the highest healing and nutritive and nourishing capacity of the food. But here we are, as opposed to picking it from your own symbiotic environment in a far, far place, in a delayed time, with the decomposing and degenerative genetics. And yeah, some guy sells it. There's tax on it. All of these things, in the Anastasia books it mentions. So you can see the difference between the two worlds, and how it is a very unfortunate situation that we are putting ourselves in. Because the further we go from the natural state of every man having his own family, kin's domain, the further we go from the ability for man to get his own fruit off the tree and to commune and exchange with his surrounding environment, with his surrounding people that he loves and his family, the further we get from this, the more the gene deteriorates. And the more the it's like a never-ending cycle. The more the gene deteriorates, the more the soil will deteriorate. The quality of the soil will deteriorate. The more the quality of the soil deteriorates, the less of the quality of the food. Now we can say that it's minor, the deterioration, the soil quality deterioration, but those who farm can know the difference between lots of topsoil and no topsoil, regenerative farming and non-regenerative farming. It's a lot easier. It's a lot safer. It's a lot more pleasing. It's a lot more conducive to the environment thriving when the organic matter is growing and increasing and everything is getting better and better, which is one of the cornerstones to the reason why fruit farming is above all other farming. Diverse, variety rich fruit farming that enriches the soil. So how funny is it that as we kill the trees and we kill the soil, we kill ourselves? As we kill the earth and we exploit it, we see the earth as different from us, as something that we can take from and not give back. You could even go to something as simple as excretion. Toilets have to be invented because of filthy living. You live so close to each other and so without any space and without any peace, that if you were to shit all over the place where we are living, it would be a complete shithole. So you have to invent the toilet to take the shit somewhere else. It's a very medieval castle concept. And so that, yeah, basically, you don't want to deal with your own shit, so you have to take the excrement. So you have to deal, or let someone else deal with it. Let a different land deal with it. Whereas, excreting into the own environment, the skin, which is of the earth, which is the ground, and letting, just like as pimples give and take, or your skin permeates, it takes things in, it releases things. So should we excrete on the earth as we give information to the earth of what we need, and what the earth needs we give back. So it's actually very perverted to even sit on a toilet. That's what I always think when I'm in a modern bathroom. And we call this convenience. But the convenience is precisely what is killing us. It is killing the gene. It is killing the code. So again, this is very much what Operation Lighthouse is about, is revealing this fact that we are losing light, we are losing energy, we are losing information from ourselves, The voltage, the electrical capacity of our cells and our food is decreasing together. So, what a rough situation we have put ourselves in. But a message of hope would be we must rise together. We must find these answers together. We must garden together. We must guard the Eden together. You know, if there's any rich people out there, tell them there's no use having money if the world continues how it's going to continue. You know, buying another Bugatti and another bag is not helping anyone. It's not helping our genes. It's not helping the world. It's not helping the person who buys the thing. It might give a short dopamine blast living on top of this world of convenience. But at the end of the day, we have to leave convenience and live in peace. Convenience, in this world of convenience, is not a peaceful world. Convenience is not peaceful. At least the convenience of today. The true natural convenience is having having many varieties of fruit trees around you, over 300 types of perennials around you, where you can conveniently regenerate your genes and regenerate the earth simultaneously without an effort. It's all natural. You eat the seed, you spit the seed, or you throw the seed, or you collect the seed, and then you plant more and more, and it grows and it grows. That's how we should be living. The idea of be fruitful and multiply. That the abundance should be ever increasing, but right now the abundance is ever decreasing, and whether it's in our soil or whether it's in the healing capability within our genes. So natural hygiene is the answer to regenerate the genes. And a message from Eugene. And to regenerate the soil. That's all that's left. Is figuring out a way how we can live in nature. You know, it doesn't have to be difficult, but without this addiction to convenience and stimulation. We are all drug addicts in the system. And it's unfortunate that we still need all these stupid laws, go through all these stupid laws and all these stupid, mediums of exchange like money and all this. But bring people to this message and wake people up. It's time we have a different outlook on life. It's time we have a different we develop a different momentum. We get the wheels rolling. It's time we regenerate the genes and regenerate the earth and really create that abundance and that family so that we can reinstate. Really, it's love. It's about love. The fact that our genes exist is love. It's a love from a creator. Or it's love from nature. It's love from the nothingness that creates the somethingness, because the nothing loves the something. And that's why healing, the best way to heal is to receive from nothing. And then when you take from something, only take that something that is raw, ripe, and in its whole state. Because then it'll create a raw, ripe, a whole state human being. That's the message for today. Book a natural health, natural hygiene health consultation with me if you need someone to hold your hand. If not, look into the great hygienists of the previous times or of the times right now. And also look into Anastasia, the books of Anastasia and the Ringing Cedars, and start to work with people like me and people like me around you. Build something where we can last in eternity, in an eternal abundance. That's the only thing left to do. Regenerate those genes. Let's do it.